In this episode, we dive into Karens that got eaten alive by deadly animals. From a real estate agent that got too close to a lion that was currently feeding, to a vacation turning into a horrifying nightmare after ignoring clear warning signs of shark activity. But let's start with our first story. The morning of June 15, 2014 dawned with perfect safari conditions across South Africa's Kruger National Park. The African sun painted golden streaks across the savanna as a gentle breeze carried the scent of acacia trees through the dry air. For most tourists, this would be the adventure of a lifetime. But for Brenda Sue Whitfield, a 52-year-old real estate agent from Scottsdale, Arizona, it would be her last. Brenda Sue had built her reputation in Arizona's luxury real estate market through sheer determination and an unwavering belief that rules were merely suggestions for people like her. Friends described her as someone who always got her way, whether negotiating million-dollar deals or demanding special treatment at restaurants. She was known for her perfectly manicured nails, designer safari outfit, and the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. This was her first African safari with her husband, and she had spared no expense booking the most exclusive private tour available. She expected VIP treatment, and she expected the wildlife to cooperate with her vacation plans. Her husband had tried to warn her about respecting the guide's expertise, but Brenda Sue dismissed his concerns with the same wave of her hand that she used to brush off building inspectors back home. She had researched African wildlife on Google, watched a few documentaries, and was convinced she understood the animal behavior better than the locals who had spent their entire lives in the bush. After all, she reasoned, if these animals were truly dangerous, why would they allow tourists so close? At 4:20 p.m., their guide stopped the vehicle 50 yards from where a magnificent male lion was feeding on a freshly killed impala. The massive cat, weighing nearly 400 pounds, was in his prime, a territorial king whose golden mane was now stained with blood. The guide, a veteran with 20 years of experience, immediately recognized the extreme danger of the situation. Lions defending their kills are among the most aggressive animals in Africa, and this male had clearly just made his catch. The guide warned them that they had needed to maintain distance, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had seen what these predators could do. He explained that the lion was feeding and would view any approach as a direct threat to his meal. Lions defending kills have been known to charge vehicles, and getting out of one would be suicidal. But Brenda Sue was having none of it. She had paid premium prices for this experience, and she wasn't about to settle for distant photos of a feeding lion. She declared that she knew what she was doing, her voice dripping with the same condescension that she used with difficult clients. She insisted that the lion was too focused on eating to care about them. When the guide refused to drive closer, explaining that it would violate every safety protocol and put everyone at mortal risk, Brenda Sue made a decision that would seal her fate. She opened the vehicle door and stepped out, ignoring her husband's desperate pleas and the guide's shocked commands to get back inside. She announced that she was just going to get a better angle for photos, her designer boots crunching on the dry grass. She claimed the lion was too busy eating to notice her. She walked 20 feet toward the feeding lion, her camera raised, completely oblivious to the fact that she had just triggered every territorial instinct in one of Africa's most dangerous predators. What Brenda Sue didn't understand was that male lions defending fresh kills are hardwired by millions of years of evolution to eliminate any threat to their meal with lethal force. Their powerful hindquarters contain muscles capable of generating explosive bursts of speed, while their massive paws, each the size of a dinner plate, are equipped with retractable claws that can disembowel prey with a single swipe. Most terrifyingly, Their jaws can exert a crushing force of 650 pounds per square inch, enough to snap the spine of a zebra in seconds. The lion's head snapped up from his meal, blood dripping from his muzzle, as his amber eyes locked onto this strange creature that had dared to approach his kill. His muscles tensed, his massive frame coiling like a spring loaded with 400 pounds of lethal power. Lions can accelerate from 0 to 35 miles per hour in mere seconds, and this territorial male saw Brenda Sue's approach as a direct challenge to his meal, a threat that demanded an immediate and violent response. The attack happened within 15 feet of the kill site, close enough for her husband to see every horrifying detail, but too close for the guide to intervene safely without risking everyone's lives. The lion's protective instincts over his fresh kill, combined with Brenda Sue's complete dismissal of expert warnings and her entitled belief that the rules didn't apply to her, proved fatal in the most brutal way possible. Park rangers arrived 25 minutes later, but the territorial male had dragged both his original kill and Brenda Sue into thick brush where he could feed undisturbed. The incident led to mandatory child-proof locks on all safari vehicles and enhanced safety briefings that emphasized the deadly consequences of approaching feeding predators. But while the African savanna had claimed one life through human arrogance, another entitled tourist was about to discover that America's national parks could be equally unforgiving, especially when a marketing executive decided she knew better than the experts about surprising one of North America's most dangerous predators. August 3rd, 2015 brought picture-perfect weather to Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming. The morning mist was lifting from the valleys as golden sunlight filtered through the towering pines, creating the kind of postcard scenery that drew millions of visitors each year. The crisp mountain air carried the scent of wildflowers and pine needles, promising another beautiful day in America's first national park. For most families, this would be a day of wonder and discovery. But for Tiffany Lynn Mitchell, a 45-year-old marketing executive from Denver, Colorado, it would be her final morning. Tiffany Lynn had built her career in corporate marketing through aggressive tactics and an unwavering belief that persistence always paid off. She was the type of executive who never accepted no for an answer, whether she was negotiating contracts or demanding upgrades at a hotel. Her family knew her as someone who researched every vacation destination obsessively, creating detailed itineraries that maximize photo opportunities and social media content. She had been complaining to park rangers for 3 days about wildlife being too far away for good photos, insisting that the park's safety distances were overly cautious and designed to ruin the tourist experience. Her husband and teenage children had grown tired of her constant complaints about the park's restrictions. They watched in embarrassment as she argued with rangers about getting closer to elk herds and bison, always insisting that her expensive camera equipment required closer proximity for professional quality shots. Tiffany Lynn had done her research, reading blog posts about wildlife photography and watching YouTube videos that convinced her she understood animal behavior well enough to bend the rules safely. She had been particularly frustrated by the park's 100-yard rule for bears, calling it ridiculous government overreach and pointing to other tourists who seemed to get closer without consequences. What she didn't understand was that those other tourists were using telephoto lenses and maintaining safe distances, the very precautions she dismissed as unnecessary limitations on her vacation experience. At 7:45 a.m., while hiking alone after leaving her family at the campsite, Tiffany Lynn rounded a bend in the trail and froze. Just 30 feet ahead, a massive 400-pound female grizzly bear was foraging with their 2 cubs in a berry patch beside the path. The family group was completely unaware of her presence, focused on the abundant huckleberries that lined the trail. Any experienced hiker would have immediately backed away slowly and given the bear family a wide berth. But Tiffany Lynn saw this as the perfect photo opportunity she had been seeking. She raised her camera and began taking pictures, the clicking sound echoing through the quiet forest. The mother bear's head snapped up at the unfamiliar sound. She immediately spotted Tiffany Lynn and assessed the situation with the lightning-fast instincts of a protective mother. Here was a potential threat positioned directly between her and one of her cubs, who had wandered slightly down the trail behind the human. What Tiffany Lynn didn't understand was that she had stumbled into the most dangerous scenario possible in bear country. Grizzly bears possess a bite force of over 1,200 pounds per square inch, nearly twice that of a lion, and their massive claws can grow up to 4 inches long, perfectly designed for digging through frozen ground and tearing apart logs in search of food. Their shoulder muscles, which create the distinctive hump on their backs, contain enough power to flip over 700-pound rocks with ease. Most terrifyingly, despite weighing up to 600 pounds, grizzlies can reach speeds of 35 miles per hour in short bursts, faster than any human has ever run. The sow's protective instincts kicked in immediately. She stood up on her hind legs, huffing and jaw-popping, clear warning signs that Tiffany Lynn completely misinterpreted. Instead of backing away, she took another step forward for a better shot, excited by what she thought was the bear posing for her camera. The mother grizzly dropped to all fours and charged. From 30 feet away, she covered the distance in less than 2 seconds, her massive frame moving with terrifying speed and purpose. Tiffany Lynn fumbled for her bear spray, but there was no time. The protective mother struck with the full force of her 400-pound body, her primary goal to eliminate the threat to her cubs. The attack was swift and devastating. Other hikers found the scene 20 minutes later and immediately called for help, but Tiffany Lynn had died from massive trauma within minutes. Her camera was found nearby, the memory card filled with photos that documented her final, fatal mistake. The incident reinforced exactly why Yellowstone safety distances exist. Rules written in the blood of those who learn too late that mother bears will kill to protect their young. As the morning mist continued to lift from Yellowstone's valleys, revealing the park's deadly beauty, another entitled individual was about to discover that Florida's suburban paradise could hide predators just as dangerous as any mountain grizzly. March 28, 2016 brought another perfect evening to Naples, Florida, where the setting sun painted the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks above the manicured golf courses and luxury communities that defined this slice of paradise. The temperature was a comfortable 78 degrees, with a gentle breeze carrying the scent of jasmine and freshly cut grass through the upscale neighborhood. For most residents, this would be another peaceful evening in their gated community. But for Deborah Ann Rodriguez, a 38-year-old HOA president, it would be her last. Deborah Ann had earned her reputation as the neighborhood's most demanding resident through years of micromanaging every aspect of community life. She was the type of HOA president who measured grass heights with a ruler, issued citations for mailboxes that were the wrong shade of white, and held emergency board meetings about holiday decorations that violated the community's aesthetic standards. She had been elected HOA president 3 years running, primarily because no one else wanted to deal with the constant complaints and confrontations that seemed to energize her. Deborah Ann took pride in maintaining property values and community standards, but her methods often crossed the line from thorough to tyrannical. For the past 3 weeks, Deborah Ann had been waging a personal war against the alligators that had taken up residence in the community's scenic pond near the 7th hole of their golf course. She had filed complaints with the county, demanded immediate removal services, and sent increasingly angry emails to the property management company about what she called an unacceptable threat to their community's safety and property values. What Deborah Ann didn't understand, or chose to ignore, was that it was peak nesting season, and the 9-foot female alligator she'd been complaining about had built her nest directly on the bank where Deborah Ann liked to walk her small dog each evening. Female alligators during nesting season become incredibly aggressive, transforming from relatively docile reptiles into 300-pound engines of maternal fury that will attack anything perceived as a threat to their eggs. At 6:30 p.m., armed with a 9-foot iron from her husband's golf bag and fueled by weeks of frustration, Deborah Ann decided to take matters into her own hands. She had watched enough Animal Planet to convince herself that alligators were essentially overgrown lizards that could be intimidated into leaving if someone just showed them who's boss. She didn't want to pay HOA fees to live next to a swamp. She marched toward the pond, her designer golf outfit and perfectly styled hair reflecting her confidence that this would be a simple matter of asserting human dominance over a primitive reptile. As she approached the water's edge, Deborah Ann didn't notice the carefully constructed nest mound hidden among the reeds just 3 feet from where she stood. The female alligator had been lying motionless in the shallow water, perfectly camouflaged, but every fiber of her being was focused on defending her future offspring. Deborah Ann stepped directly onto the edge of the nest mound while trying to get a better angle to poke at what she thought was just a pile of debris. She began jabbing at the nest with her golf club, treating it like an unwanted anthill that needed to be destroyed. What Deborah Ann had failed to comprehend was that she was now directly threatening one of nature's most ancient and efficient killing machines in its most dangerous state. American alligators are living dinosaurs, virtually unchanged for over 200 million years, with jaws capable of exerting a crushing force of 2,125 pounds per square inch, enough to snap a human femur like a twig. Most terrifyingly, alligators can launch their entire body length out of the water in explosive lunges. And despite their prehistoric appearance, they can move at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour on land in short bursts. The 300-pound female exploded from the water with the fury of a mother defending her children. From just 3 feet away, there was no escape. The protective mother was operating on millions of years of evolutionary programming that made her one of nature's most efficient killing machines. Deborah Ann tried to swing her golf club, but the alligator's massive jaws clamped down on her leg with bone-crushing force. The death roll that followed in the shallow water was immediate and fatal. The alligator's ancient technique for disorienting and drowning prey proving devastatingly effective against human anatomy. Neighbors heard her screams from 200 yards away, but the attack lasted less than 2 minutes. Wildlife officers recovered her body 45 minutes later after tranquilizing the protective mother, who had returned to guarding her damaged nest as if nothing had happened. The incident led to mandatory nesting season warnings and professional wildlife management protocols in all Florida communities. But while Florida's suburban paradise had claimed one life through maternal fury, another entitled individual was about to discover that even controlled environments could turn deadly. September 12, 2017 brought ideal weather to rural Georgia, where the late summer sun flittered through the canopy of oak and pine trees surrounding a private exotic animal sanctuary. The temperature was a perfect 75 degrees with low humidity, creating the kind of comfortable conditions that made outdoor activities a pleasure. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves as the sanctuary's big cats lounged in their enclosures, seemingly peaceful in the afternoon warmth. For most visitors, this would be an educational and inspiring experience. But for Crystal Marie Thompson, a 41-year-old pharmaceutical sales representative from Atlanta, it would be her final afternoon. Crystal Marie had built her career in pharmaceutical sales through a combination of charm, persistence, and an unwavering belief that the right connections could open any door. She was known among her colleagues as someone who always found a way to get VIP treatment, whether it was securing the best tables at restaurants or gaining access to exclusive medical conferences. Her success had made her wealthy, and she had learned to use her financial contributions as leverage to get special treatment wherever she went. She had discovered the Exotic Animal Sanctuary through her book club, a group of affluent Atlanta women who prided themselves on finding unique experiences that their social media followers would envy. Crystal Marie had immediately seen an opportunity to stand out from the crowd. She made a substantial donation to the sanctuary and expected that her generosity would translate into special access and experiences beyond what ordinary visitors received. The sanctuary staff had tried to explain that all visitors, regardless of their donation level, were required to follow the same safety rules. But Crystal Marie had dismissed their concerns with the same confidence she used when convincing doctors to prescribe her company's medications. She had done her research, watching big cat documentaries and reading about animal behavior online, and was convinced that the sanctuary's restrictions were overly cautious. During the afternoon feeding demonstration, Crystal Marie positioned herself at the front of the viewing area, her expensive camera equipment ready to capture the kind of dramatic photos that would make her the envy of her social circle. She watched as the 450-pound male Siberian tiger received his daily meal in the outer enclosure, noting how lazy and docile the massive predator appeared. At 2:15 p.m., while the keeper was distracted answering questions from other visitors, Crystal Marie made a decision that would cost her everything. She climbed over the 4-foot public barrier, then scaled the secondary 6-foot safety fence, bringing herself directly to the primary enclosure barrier, a 10-foot chain-link fence that was the only thing separating her from one of nature's most efficient killing machines. She complained loudly to anyone who would listen that the viewing area was too far away for good photos, apparently oblivious to the fact that she was now only separated from a 450-pound apex predator by a single fence. She declared that she had donated enough money to this place and should be able to get decent pictures. What Crystal Marie didn't understand was that the tiger was in feeding mode, his predatory instincts heightened by the presence of fresh meat. The massive cat immediately focused on her as she pressed against the fence, his amber eyes tracking her every movement with the intensity of a predator evaluating prey. Her expensive perfume, rapid breathing, and erratic movements triggered every hunting instinct the tiger possessed. When Crystal Marie reached through the chain-link fence trying to get an extreme close-up photo, she unknowingly triggered the hunting instincts of one of the planet's most formidable predators. Siberian tigers are the largest cats on Earth, with males weighing up to 660 pounds of pure muscle and bone. Their massive paws, each the size of a dinner plate, are equipped with retractable claws that can grow up to 4 inches long, sharp enough to slice through Kevlar and strong enough to crush skulls. Their bite force of over 1,000 pounds per square inch of pressure can snap the spine of a wild boar, while their powerful hindquarters allowed them to leap vertically up to 12 feet. Most terrifyingly, tigers are ambush predators, capable of moving with complete silence despite their enormous size, striking with explosive speed that gives prey no chance to escape. The tiger's response was explosive and immediate. As Crystal Marie's arm extended through the fence, the massive cat struck with lightning precision. His enormous paw, moving faster than the human eye could follow, grabbed her forearm and pulled with devastating force. The chain-link fence held her body back, but her arm was now completely within the tiger's reach. The tiger's claws, designed by evolution to bring down prey weighing hundreds of pounds, punctured through Crystal Marie's arm and shoulder with devastating efficiency. His powerful jaws clamped down on her extended limb with bone-crushing force, while his other paw raked across whatever he could reach through the fence. Crystal Marie's screams echoed across the sanctuary as the tiger's predatory instincts took over completely. Sanctuary staff responded with tranquilizer guns and emergency protocols, but the damage was catastrophic. Crystal Marie died from massive trauma and blood loss within minutes, her expensive camera equipment scattered on the ground. The memory cards filled with photos that documented her final, fatal mistake. The incident resulted in triple barrier systems being installed at all big cat facilities nationwide, with the innermost barrier placed far enough from the enclosure that no visitor could reach through to the animals. Crystal Marie's donation plaque was quietly removed from the sanctuary's wall, a grim reminder that money cannot buy safety when dealing with apex predators. But while Georgia's exotic animal sanctuary had claimed one life through predatory precision, another wealthy tourist was about to discover that even paradise destinations could turn deadly, especially when a high-powered investment banker decided that shark warnings were just another form of resort paranoia designed to limit her luxury vacation experience. July 4th, 2018 brought postcard-perfect conditions to the exclusive Bahamian resort where crystal-clear turquoise waters lapped against pristine white sand beaches. The temperature was a balmy 82 degrees with gentle trade winds carrying the scent of tropical flowers across the luxury property. Colorful fish darted through the coral reefs visible from the shore, while palm trees swayed lazily in the afternoon breeze. For most guests, this would be the ultimate tropical paradise experience. But for Ashley Nicole Davis, a 49-year-old investment banker from Manhattan, it would be her final sunset. Ashley Nicole had built her Wall Street career through aggressive tactics and an unshakable belief that rules were obstacles to be overcome rather than guidelines to be followed. She was known in Manhattan's financial circles as someone who always found a way to get what she wanted, whether it was closing impossible deals or securing reservations at fully booked restaurants. Her success had made her wealthy beyond most people's dreams, and she had learned to use that wealth as a weapon against anyone who dared to tell her no. This Bahamian vacation was supposed to be her reward for another record-breaking year in investment banking. She had booked the resort's most expensive suite and expected every aspect of her stay to be perfect. From the moment she arrived, Ashley Nicole had been complaining about what she called the resort's overly cautious approach to water activities, demanding access to areas that had been marked off limits for guest safety. The resort staff had tried to explain that recent bull shark activity in the area had prompted temporary restrictions on swimming in certain zones, particularly near the fishing dock where charter boats clean their daily catch. But Ashley Nicole dismissed these warnings as resort paranoia, designed to limit her vacation experience, convinced that the staff was simply trying to avoid liability rather than addressing real safety concerns. She had done her own research on her phone, reading travel blogs that claim shark attacks were statistically insignificant and watching documentaries that portrayed sharks as misunderstood creatures that rarely bothered humans. Armed with this superficial knowledge, Ashley Nicole was convinced that the resort's restrictions were nothing more than corporate overcautiousness that was ruining her expensive vacation. At 6:15 p.m., as the sun began to set and the golden hour lighting created perfect conditions for both photography and predator hunting, Ashley Nicole made a decision that would seal her fate. Despite red flag warnings and the complete absence of other swimmers, she entered the water near the resort's fishing dock during the exact time when charter boats were returning and cleaning their daily catch. The area was a perfect storm of shark-attracting conditions. Murky water filled with fish blood and scraps from the day's charter boat returns, the low-light conditions of dusk that made it difficult for both sharks and humans to distinguish shapes clearly, and the dinner hour when many marine predators become most active. Ashley Nicole swam 150 yards from shore into 15 feet of water, directly into what marine biologists would later describe as a feeding zone. What Ashley Nicole had failed to understand was that she had just entered the hunting ground of one of the ocean's most aggressive and unpredictable predators during their peak feeding time. Bull sharks are unique among shark species for their ability to hunt in both saltwater and freshwater, with a tolerance for shallow, murky water that makes them particularly dangerous to swimmers. Unlike great whites, which typically hunt in deeper water, bull sharks actively patrol coastal areas and are responsible for more attacks on humans than any other shark species. Stocky, muscular build houses a bite force of over 1,300 pounds of pressure per square inch, stronger than both great whites and tiger sharks, while their broad, flat snouts are perfectly designed for stunning prey in shallow water. Most terrifyingly, bull sharks are known for their aggressive temperament and tendency to attack first and investigate later, making them unpredictable killers that strike without warning. A 9-foot bull shark, already in feeding mode from the abundant fish scraps in the water, detected Ashley Nicole's movements from over 200 yards away. The shark's electroreceptors, capable of sensing the electrical impulses generated by a beating heart, locked on to this new source of bioelectric activity in its established hunting ground. The murky water and failing light created perfect ambush conditions. The attack came in 15 feet of water during the golden hour, when visibility was severely compromised. Bull sharks attack with explosive speed and devastating power, their serrated teeth designed to tear through flesh and bone with surgical precision. Ashley Nicole's expensive swimsuit and jewelry offered no protection against millions of years of evolutionary perfection. Her screams alerted the dock workers, but she was too far from shore for immediate rescue. Resort jet ski teams reached her location within 8 minutes, their response time impressive by any standard, but the bull shark's initial attack had severed the femoral artery in her leg. Ashley Nicole died from blood loss during the rescue attempt, the warm Bahamian waters turning crimson around the rescue boat as paramedics fought desperately to save her life. The incident led to permanent relocation of fish cleaning stations away from swimming areas at all Caribbean resorts and mandatory sunset swimming bans near fishing operations. Ashley Nicole's story became a cautionary tale shared among resort staff throughout the region. A reminder that even in paradise, the ocean's apex predators follow rules far older and more unforgiving than any human regulation. As the sun set over the Bahamian waters, painting the sky in brilliant reds and golds, Ashley Nicole's tragedy served as a final reminder that nature's predators don't recognize wealth, status, or entitlement. They only understand the ancient laws of survival that have governed the wild world for millions of years. Laws that no amount of money or influence can ever change. Thanks for watching. Want to watch more? Click on your screen now.